So Brooklyn Beckham is speaking up against his parents, David Beckham and Victoria Beckham, after they have used allegedly tabloids to slander his partner and himself as well, and claim that his current wife, I mean his wife, my bad. His wife basically is controlling him, and that's why they're not seeing him anymore. But he has. So the first part of his statement, he says, "I've been silent for years and made every effort to keep these matters private. Unfortunately, my parents and their team have continued to go to the press, leaving me with no choice but to speak for myself and tell the truth about only some of the lies that have been printed. I do not want to reconcile my family. I'm not being controlled. I'm standing up for myself for the first time in my life. For my entire life, my parents have controlled narratives in the press about our family. The performative social media posts, family events, and inauthentic relationships have been a fixture, of the life I was born into. Recently, I have seen with my own eyes the lengths that they will go to place countless lies in the media, mostly at the expense of innocent people to preserve their own facade. But I believe the truth." Then he goes on and says, "My parents have been trying endlessly to ruin the relationship before my wedding. It hasn't stopped. My mom cancelled making Nicola's dress in the 11th hour despite how excited she was to wear her design, forcing her to urgently find a new dress. Weeks before our big day, my parents repeatedly pressured and attempted to bribe me into signing away the rights to my name, which would have affected me, my wife, and our future children. They were adamant on me signing before my wedding day because then the terms of the deal would be initiated. My holdout affected the payout, and they have never treated me the same since. During the wedding planning, my mum went so far as to call me evil because Nicola and I chose to include my nanny Sandra and Nicola's nanny, I think that says, or nanny, at our table because they both didn't have their husbands. Both of the parents had their own tables equally adjacent to ours." He then goes on to say, "The night before our wedding, members of the family told me that Nicola was not blood and not family. Since the moment I started standing up for myself and my family, I've received endless threats from my parents, both privately and publicly, but they were sent to the press on their orders. Even my brothers were sent to attack me on social media before they ultimately blocked me out of nowhere this last summer. My mum hijacked my first dance with my wife, which had been planned for weeks in advance, to a romantic love song in front of our 500 wedding guests. Mark Anthony called me to the stage where in the schedule was planned to be my romantic dance with my wife, but instead my mum was waiting, sorry, I don't know what, sorry, my dyslexia, was waiting to dance with me instead. She danced very inappropriately. I want to see that footage because what the hell was she playing at, Victoria? Appropriately in front of everyone. I've never felt more uncomfortable and humiliated in my entire life. We wanted to renew our vows so we could create new memories on our wedding day, and that brings us joy and happiness, not anxiety and embarrassment." He then goes on to say, "My wife has been consistently disrespected by my family, no matter how hard we've tried to come together as one. My mom has repeatedly invited women from the past into our lives in ways that were clearly intended to make both of us uncomfortable. Despite this, we travelled to London for my dad's birthday and were rejected for a week. As we waited in our hotel room trying to plan quality time with him, he refused all our attempts unless at his big birthday party with hundreds of guests and cameras at every corner. When he finally agreed to see me, it was under the condition that Nicola wasn't invited. It was a slap in the face. Later, when my family travelled to LA, they refused to see me at all." He then goes on to say, "My family values publicly promote and endorse above anything else. Brand Beckham comes first. Family love is decided by how much you post on social media or how quickly you drop everything to show up and pose for a family photo op. Even if it's at the expense of our professional obligations, we've gone out of our way for years to show up and support at every fashion show, every party, and every press activity to show our perfect family. But the one time my wife asked for my mum's support to save displaced dogs during the LA fire, my mum refuses." Then in the final statement, he says, "The narrative that my wife controls me is completely backwards. I have been controlled by my parents for most of my life. I grew up with overwhelming anxiety for the first what's going on with my English? For the first time in my life since stepping away from my family, the anxiety has disappeared. I wake up every morning grateful for the life I chose and have found peace and relief. My wife and I do not want our lives shaped by image, press, or manipulation. All we want is peace, privacy, and happiness for us and our future family."